Hello, my name is Chad Holladay. This is the first for sale video of 769 Charlie Echo Vans RV8. I'm going to start at the tail, some features about this RV8. You'll notice, talk about the paint. The paint is Acroglow, Sherwin-Williams Acroglow. You can see it does have a checkered tail. It's a little bit different than the other checkered tail. It doesn't go the entire tail. Upgrades on this plane. Done quite a few upgrades. For instance, the rear tail wheel has been upgraded. The original tail wheel has too low of a profile and gets caught if you happen to get off the tarmac. It can catch and actually pull the tail wheel off. That has happened a few times. This is raises it up higher, has more clearance. Also, I have a Fraser Rocket steering link back here. It gives you better control of your rear tail wheel, your steerable tail wheel, as well as better control rudder authority. With the change, there was too much slop. This is more positive control. I didn't really change anything when I was building the RV8 on the plans structurally. All the upgrades that I've done are non-structural. I believe in building the airplane per the plans. They do such a good job. Talk a little bit about the canopy. The canopy skirt is one area that any buyer should be looking. You'll see a lot of RV8s that have big gaskets, big gaps between your canopy skirt and your fuselage. Just walk away from those RVs. I tell you what, once they're painted, you're looking at a major modification to get those to ever fit right. It was very painstaking, but a lot of work went into fitting this canopy skirt to the fuselage. And my wife will attest, she gets no air from leakage from this canopy skirt, which there are some. If there's any air at all, it comes in through the track portion, which there's not a whole lot you can do with that. You've got to have the track open for it to slide. But she says she cannot feel anything on the back of her head, which is good. A lot of them are leak like a sieve. Opening up the canopy. The canopy is a Todd's canopy. It is an aftermarket canopy. The canopy is a tinted canopy. Tinted canopy is the way to go, guys. Well, I'll show you the difference. It looks a little darker going through both canopy. You're going through two layers right now, okay, but going through one layer, I'll show you the outside shot, and that's through the canopy. So a lot of questions people ask me. It says, well, how dark is it looking out of this canopy? They're real concerned that it's going to reduce the visibility. Absolutely not. It does not reduce the visibility at all. Where you're going to notice it is on hot days. If you've ever flown in a canopy that was not tinted, you'll notice that your head gets hot, the back of your neck gets hot, you sunburn. With the tinted canopy, it is noticeably cooler in the summertime, and it lets enough light in the wintertime to heat you up. Very happy. If I had it to do over again, the tinted canopy is the way to go. Moving on the inside, I didn't do a whole lot of dress out on the inside. The RV8 is what it is. I mean, it's a fun performing plane. You can do anything in it. A lot of guys will build up side panels, and that's easy enough to do. I've got some more material I'll send along with the plane. If somebody wants to put side panels in, man, I tell you what, I can show them how to do it. It's easy to do. I didn't do it because it wasn't a priority for me. The seats are ultra leather and are the standard kits, with the bottom being Conforma memory foam. Crow harnesses. I like the Crow harnesses better than Hooker or the Vans standard. They release by twisting the front latch, and all the harnesses go in this black hockey puck looking device. Talking about the stick just a little bit here. Both the front and the back sticks are infinity sticks. It's got fighter look. And they're full functioning switches. The switch functions are: the green switch is the starter switch. That's what actually engages the start the engine. Coolie hat, which goes every direction. It's your trim. You have elevator trim and aileron trim, although on an RV8, a tandem aircraft, aileron trim you do not have to use on this aircraft. A lot of builders, the aileron trim is important because they end up with a heavy wing. I can tell you, this plane from the very start never had a heavy wing. It flew straight and level. It's a great flying aircraft. Aileron trim on this one's a waste. You got a button right down here. This is the autopilot disengage or engage. The red trigger is going to be your push to talk. The blue button I don't use. It is functional for the fuel pump. I don't use the blue button. There is a switch on the dash I use for the fuel pump. If you'll notice, it has a rear vent for the rear passenger, and the area right here that's open, they're all open. All of them are open initially. I do have a cover that I'm building for that that will cover that area up, just so something don't drop in there. It doesn't hurt to be open. The front, we'll start off by explaining what I meant with the fuel pump, the blue button with the fuel pump. Rather than using that button, I use it on a switch. The reason I do that is because you cannot hear the fuel pump in the air, and you cannot hear the fuel pump with the engine running. And just by to utilize a switch, you have to have this switch on, and then you just tap the switch. It's inconvenient because you can't hear it. You don't know when it's on or off. You might see some fluctuations in the fuel flow, but other than that, so I just don't use the blue button, and basically all I use is the switch. You know, it's up, it's on; it's down, it's off; up, it's on. It's easy to tell whether it's on and off, so that's what I use for the fuel pump. I have built some extra storage devices in here, which basically is as simple as riveting on a piece of aluminum, and it created a little spot to hold things. I've got one on the other side too. Maps, charts, kneeboard, stuff like that fit in there really nicely. iPad fits in there. It gives you a little extra space to store things in the RV8. Your personal items storage is at a minimum in the RV8, although you have plenty of storage in the rear for baggage, which I'll show you in case you're not familiar with the RV8. There is plenty of room in the back for baggage. This is behind the back seat, and there is also baggage in the front. I'll show you here in just a minute. The avionics I've gone with on this plane is I've gone with the best avionics at the time that you could buy, and I have upgraded the EFIS once since then. What I'm running is Advanced Flight System. Advanced Flight System is, there's a couple of them out there. I prefer Advanced. The Advanced Flight System is a full functioning EFIS engine monitoring combination. The EFIS itself has about 12 different maps that you can go through. I've only got 3 of them programmed in. I've got the EFIS that has all your flight controls on it, with the engine monitoring at the bottom. I have one that splits the screen, that puts the map on the top quarter, and then I have a full map screen. Those are the only 3 I have programmed in. Like I said, there's about 12 you can program in, including one that just shows a 6-pack. I have the 430 WAS GPS Navcom, 327 Garmin transponder. The autopilot is a TrueTrack autopilot. The TrueTrack autopilot does have GPS steering and vertical guidance. You can set up a flight plan in the 430, pick an altitude on your EFIS, press a button when you get off the runway. It'll turn to the desired waypoint on the GPS, climb to the altitude selected on the EFIS, and level off at whatever altitude that is, going to the waypoint. You do have to trim up once you get to that altitude. It doesn't have auto trim. Come on, guys. It can't do everything for you. It also, if you choose a procedure, an IFR procedure, when you get to the waypoint, it will go to the initial approach fix. It'll fly the entire initial approach, go to the final approach fix, and it will descend itself down to the airport. You better turn it off before you hit the runway, though. Do have some backup stem gauges. If you're having a trouble transitioning from the EFIS, you can give yourself a warm fuzzy feeling and look over and look at your old style stem gauges. I have Music. That's your music plug. That's the front plugs for the headsets, and in front of the headsets you'll see a couple of switches. Those switches, what those switches are is starter disconnect, and that is to disconnect the green starter button on your Infinity stick. There is one for the front stick and one for the back stick, and that's just so you don't accidentally engage that starter in the air with the engine running. It kills the starter. That completes part one. Oh, also, you have a cup holder. Over here you have the throttle quadrant, standard throttle quadrant. You have a charging point down there, and also that's where your cabin heat pull engagement is. And there is your fuel selectors. That concludes part one of the 769 Charlie Echo 4-cell video.